Thanks, Sean Caston. Hi, I'm Monica Eng, filling in for Natalie Moore. Thank you guys for all being so patient. I know this has been a long day, but we've got a really exciting panel following other exciting panels with folks who are working on affordability and accessibility in food, such important issues. I'd ask you all to please introduce yourselves and tell us a short bit about you so we know who you are. Let's start down the line with Sam.
So my name is Sam Acho. I'm a 9-year NFL veteran, ESPN analyst, author, speaker, and I got a chance to spend some time in Chicago with the Bears and partner with some young entrepreneurs on the west side of Chicago to build a food mart in a food desert. So that's kind of why I'm here. But also the cool part about that opportunity is that the thing that was before, like my previous career, my NFL career, my job title, my resume, opened up the door for my real impact. And so that's what brought me to the stage.
Great. Hayden?
Hi, everyone. I'm Haven Leaving. I am a senior program officer at Builders Vision. That's an impact office located here in Chicago. We use investing and philanthropy and advocacy to realize a more healthy and humane planet. And I lead all of our food grant making. That's been hyper-local here in Chicago, so I work to use my grant dollars to increase access to and consumption of healthy food. A nice connection is that the program Sam knows about is something that I have funded and worked with before.
Nice. And Liz?
Hello, I'm Liz Moran-Stelk. I serve as the executive director of the Illinois Stewardship Alliance. We are an alliance of farmers and eaters who use our voices and our choices to shape a more just and regenerative food system. We have to organize to build the power to hold decision makers accountable at every level to change the food system.
David?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Dave Nyack. I'm a physician and also of Nyack Farms in Gardner, Illinois. We are a small family farm, but we're one of the largest growers of sweet corn. Raise your hand if you guys like sweet corn. Yay. Okay, so what I realized is that those who are food insecure also love sweet corn too. And access to fresh produce like sweet corn and other specialty crops is a big passion of mine, and we're one of the largest donors of sweet corn to the hungry in the state of Illinois in the Midwest.
All right, and all of you have unique stories about how you personally affect food affordability and accessibility. Let's start at this end, Dr. Nyack.
Great, so we at Nyack Farms are committed to providing fresh specialty produce to those who are hungry. And our produce is very good. I am a firm believer that those who are most in need really deserve the best. And so I am very grateful to have partnered under the White House. We were one of the first people to commit last year for feeding Illinois and the Midwest 1 million people over the next few years of our delicious sweet corn and our green beans. And so we've been using our semi-trucks and our wonderful people who work on our farm to deliver and work with the Illinois food banks, the food pantries, as well as community gardens and churches to deliver throughout the state. So even today, our farm delivered 22 tons of corn down in Carbondale, Illinois, and in Champaign, Illinois.
Wow, and we're at the height of sweet corn season right now?
We are. We've been very blessed that the drought did not affect us. We got that huge batch of rain about 4 weeks ago, and we are literally swimming in corn.
Coming out of your ears. All right, Liz, tell us about your work. Yeah.
So we all raised our hand that we love sweet corn because we do, of course, but sweet corn isn't everything that's grown here in Illinois. There's lots of corn and beans that are not the kind that we love to eat on a summer evening.
Less than 1% is sweet corn.
That's right. And so what we're interested in at the Stewardship Alliance is a just transition from an industrial food system with a sea of corn and beans to one that is a vibrant, local, regenerative food system where Illinois farmers can feed Illinois, and we have huge opportunity to be able to do that. We have Chicago, a major metropolitan area, and yet in Illinois, we grow 23 million acres of agricultural production, but we can't feed ourselves. We import 90 to 95% of all the food that we eat here. And so what we're interested in is figuring out how do we break down the barriers to build a vibrant local food system. And many of those barriers are policy barriers, and toward affordability and access, we're interested in advocating for the kinds of policies that make sure that this local food system that we're all excited about, farmers markets and food co-ops, that they are affordable and not just food for the haves, and that we have SNAP, Match, and other initiatives to make local food more affordable.
And SNAP Match, as I understand it, is it's also called Link Up Illinois in Illinois, where there are private and USDA dollars that will match dollar for dollar your money at farmers markets if you're a SNAP user. Wonderful, wonderful program that really feeds into supporting local farmers and also getting fresh produce on people's plates. Haven.
And that's a really good transition, going from the grower side of things to the actual eater side of things. So most of my philanthropy and grant making is around, once the food is grown, how does it actually get to people? And how does it get to people who are low income and people who have traditionally very low access to food? So my work is to go into those neighborhoods and honestly find the leaders who are speaking with you today and ask them, how can I get you dollars to realize your impact? So Erica, we had Dion, we had Liz. These are all folks who are working on food access programs in their neighborhoods and saying, we need the dollars, we need the investment to be able to serve our communities. So my goal and where philanthropy can fit in is to do the listening and then to get the dollars where they need to go. The other thing when we think about food access and affordability is you do have to think about, what do we do to make that food affordable? So I do also fund Link Up Illinois. It's one way to make sure that healthy food that our Illinois farmers grow can get to market and be cheaper and more affordable for folks.
Yeah, and to Haven's point about the listening, we were talking off stage. I didn't realize that Haven and I were connected. And sometimes I don't think we realize that until we actually start doing work, right? So I started a nonprofit called Athletes for Justice, essentially uniting everyday athletes, collegiate athletes, professional athletes, weekend warriors around causes in their communities. And a few years ago, during COVID, the height of COVID, George Floyd was killed and Ahmaud Arbery was killed and the world stood still. Some athletes in Chicago got together and said, what if we could do something? And obviously we have, physical capital, right? Like we can go and push something over or throw a football, right? But it was like, what if we talked to a nonprofit leader, they said, what if you just listened to the kids in our communities? We all have these great ideas, but no one's listening to us. And so this group of people with influence all got together and listened. Then after we listened, we took a step. We actually took a tour of one of the communities in Chicago, Austin, the west side. And we discovered a food desert. And the long and short of it is, and I talk about this in my book, which actually is down front after we're done.
What's it called?
It's called Change Starts With You, Following Your Fire to Heal a Broken World. And the cool part about it is that we had this fire of like, what if we could do something? I don't know food outside of loving to eat it and using it as like fuel for my body. We said, what if we could actually turn one of these liquor stores that we saw in this food desert into a food mart? And the cool part about it is that we did. We followed these young entrepreneurs and we did that. But what's even cooler is that Haven and I were sitting backstage. She said, hey, I funded that. And so my point, yeah, you can do a round of applause, yeah.
The applause should go to the kids.
Yeah, but like the point is, a lot of us here in this room have dreams, or we've been working towards something, we haven't seen the final output. Well, you may be sitting next to the person who is the final output. And so like my encouragement would be to keep on dreaming, keep on believing, keep on conversing, keep on listening. Then as we all kind of need to transform a little bit, go from listening, like Haven did, to actioning. That'd be my input.
All right. And so all of you have you're looking at this issue from different points of view. And from that point of view, what is the biggest challenge, like the number one challenge we need to tackle to make good food more accessible and affordable?
Well, I could chime in here. I think that from our perspective as a farmer, what we're doing is not easy. Input costs are high. Inflationary headwinds have remained to where the farmer's balance sheet is very difficult to become profitable. But I do know this. Farmers are one of the most generous people on the planet. And that if they have that incentivization from the financial side to take a small portion of their yield and give back to those who are most in need, they're absolutely going to do it. And that's what we're doing at Nyack Farms. We are trying to be that leader in the community to say, look, we can grow a specialty crop that's not really grown that much, right?
And can we tell people, does everybody know what a specialty crop is? It's a crop you can eat. Okay.
So in Illinois, we're, as Senator Durbin said, we're known for corn and beans, but the commercial corn,
But not edible ones.
right,
mostly, yeah.
exactly right. We can't eat that type of corn. That's gone really more to fuel and feed for animals, and the soybeans as well. So specialty crops are crops that we can eat and that you see in the grocery store. And so it's not easy to harvest these crops too. So for example, on our farm, we have a specialty corn picker. It's not like those 8-row combines that you see. It goes down a single row and it's pulled by a large tractor, and then we put it in a bin. From the bin, we get it to the pallets, and then we load it in our semi-trucks, and then we need the truck drivers to get it to the food banks and to the food pantries. That costs quite a bit of money, logistics as well as labor, and then the materials too. So what we do need to create is incentive to the farmers to give back, because they will do that if they have the right incentives.
And are you going to tell us a little later about the incentive that may be in Springfield soon?
I'm excited to touch on our
Okay.
policy that we're very passionate
Stay
about.
tuned, because you're going to hear about it. Other big challenges to making food, and paying the farmer, what the food costs to actually grow, and not cheating the farmer or cheating the animal. How do you do that? What are the big challenges?
So we've certainly grown an incredibly efficient and effective infrastructure in Illinois to move the corn and beans that David was describing. But what has happened over the last couple of decades is a real hollowing out of the infrastructure that it's going to take to move specialty crops and to process grain and to process livestock so that people can eat it. And so if we want to have a thriving, vibrant local food system here in Illinois and in Chicago, we are going to have to rebuild all of that infrastructure. One of the things that I'm really excited about.
Can I pause for it? So when you say infrastructure, you mean slaughterhouses, you mean cooling facilities, you mean transportation facilities that have all, with the big corporatization, kind of vanished for the smaller farmers.
Yes, yeah, exactly like that, and for a variety of reasons, whether it's
And
economies
mills.
of scale, but also, corporate consolidation in food, which has been massive, and which the Biden administration has been trying to take efforts, and they've been stopped along the way trying to, take on antitrust and consolidation in the market. But that stuff is so essential at the same time as we're rebuilding that infrastructure that it's going to take. To specialty crops, right? You can't just. There's a lot of specialty crops that, in order to move them, they're going to have to be basically processed. Not necessarily made into a new food item, like, say, tomatoes into salsa, but tomatoes into, say, frozen, or something that can be moved more sustainably, right? And that's going to last a little bit longer. And so one of the things I'm so excited about is that Illinois, just this year, the General Assembly passed a $2 million budget investment in local food infrastructure to actually move food, start to rebuild that infrastructure. And that comes at the perfect time because USDA and the state of Illinois and many other states joined into a cooperative agreement to purchase $28 million in the next 2 years of local food from underserved farmers, so farmers of color, and getting that food to communities in need. And so there really is a moment where folks have realized that it's essential that we rebuild the real food security that we need here in Illinois and around the country.
Yeah, and I think people are seeing that need to rebuild, but we still are seeing around for the growers and then also in getting the food to eaters is a market failure at this point. We have a food system that's artificially inflated by the Farm Bill at this point. It is not necessarily going to our specialty crop growers, and we also see a market in which grocery stores are abandoning low access, often black and brown neighborhoods. This is really a failure of the markets, and so where I come in, I think about philanthropy. Philanthropy can't actually fix that market right now, but what we can do is we can use our power and leverage all the philanthropy we can to try and change those policies, to try and make sure that the Assembly can have that $2 million to give to Illinois growers. We can try and bring other private investments into the system as much as we can. We can support Ruby and the Chicago Equity Council as they try and get dollars out to those entrepreneurs. But that big challenge is that market failure.
And I would say the biggest challenge or problem, at least that I see, is this idea of like disintegration. So like, it's almost like we all have these great ideas and dreams and goals, and we're all trying to do them alone. And there's a proverb that says, like, anyone who isolates himself it rages against sound judgment. Right? It's not wise to try and just do it alone. You need a team, a group of people. And so when I think of problems, I think about disintegration. I think about solutions. I think about alignment. And I think about integrity. I think about, man, Haven, what do you need for your team to help them win? We were talking backstage about, hey, can I connect you with someone I know who's a grower and wants to, and she's like, man, I do this work and I'd love to, like, I think that's what wins. And that's what works. No matter what industry you're in, no matter what field you're in, no matter what title you have or hold, selfishness kind of sometimes tears us apart. And I think when you get back to being like a person of integrity, a person who's whole, right, this integer, this whole number, I think that's when change really happens.
It's like someone working as a hotshot athlete who wants to show off versus working as a team.
Well, it's to that point, Monica. So I retired 2 years ago, right? So I know I'm looking young, right? You don't have to tell me twice. But I went to my first training camp practice since I finished playing. And it was almost like a death in so many ways, guys. Like this thing that I used to do and I used to love in this group, I couldn't do it anymore. And yes, it was sad for me, and it was also sad, right? A friend of mine, former player, had passed away, right? He was struggling with some things, and some of our teammates felt like we weren't there for him, right? So that was sad. But also there was some hope, and the hope was seeing this team, this group of people, different backgrounds, different races, different faiths, different everything, coming together for a common goal. And I missed that. Like, I got a chance to do that at the highest level, right? Professional athlete, and it was like everything else goes aside besides this one goal. And our goal was to win a Super Bowl or go to the playoffs or whatever, right? The paychecks are great, but that goal is better. And so one thing I wonder is, like, what is our common goal? Like, what would that look like? Because I'm craving that. Like, if you've never experienced that idea of being on an actual team, there's nothing better. Like, when I saw Austin Harvest open up, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, when Austin Harvest opened up that food mart that used to be a liquor store, like, that was one of the best days of my entire life. And I've played national championship football games before.
And I think that's why these kinds of conferences are so important, because we can make these connections, say, oh, this guy can help you. Oh, I've done this before, let me help you. Tell me something you're excited about, something positive that you're excited about. Let's start with Dr. Nayak.
Great. I'm excited about a lot of things, one of which is being here today. But I'm really passionate that food is medicine. I'm qualified as a physician to say something like this because I run a free clinic, and many, if not all, of my patients reside in food apartheids. And no matter what I do, without access to fresh food, these diet-related diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol are not going to go away. And I also have a unique perspective of being a farmer, too. So what am I excited about? I'm excited about motivating other farmers to do what I'm doing. And the only way that we can really do that is to incentivize them. So I wrote the Illinois Farmers Who Fight Hunger Act. What it's going to do is create a tax credit system of up to $2,000 for other farmers who donate directly to the food banks. The food banks are wonderful institutions that can leverage a meal for 10 cents, one meal for 10 cents. And as you know, Illinois has a ton of farmers. And if only 10% of these farmers in our wonderful state give back to the food banks up to $2,000, we can create 100 million new meals annually. Just wrap your heads around that. 100 million new meals annually. And it won't cost our state much money at all. And so these are the types of policies that I'm creating to incentivize and leveraging what our wonderful state has to offer is farming. And so I hope to lead by example and that we can encourage other farmers and that we can get this bill passed through the Illinois legislature next season.
All right. Liz?
Well, I am excited about the potential that public procurement could have in shifting the food system. So in Chicago passed the Good Food Purchasing Policy. It has the potential to shift $300 million a year in food spending toward 5 key values: healthy, local, sustainable, humane, and fair. That is so exciting. And yeah. And so in the Farm Bill, there are proposals to have the federal dollars do that same values-based procurement. And there's resources now for schools to do the same kind of values-based procurement, because although public procurement is not a silver bullet, like it's not going to change the whole food system, it is a bridge to the future kind of just and local and vibrant and sustainable and regenerative food system that we need.
All right, thanks, Haven.
It does deserve an applause. I'm excited of all of the work that's here in Chicago. We are here today. Some of you traveled in, but a lot of you are from Chicago. I am continually excited by all of the good work that is happening here and the people who you heard speak today. So I'm excited by Erica. Go down to UGC, go and see the farm. I'm excited at Growing Home down in Englewood. Go and see how they're growing, go and see their workforce development program. And while you're at it, drive a few blocks and go grab food at the Go Green Racine Fresh Market, which is a market that the Englewood community built and is now one of the only fresh food providers in Englewood after Whole Foods had left. Go shop there. Go and see Experimental Station and talk about what Link Up is doing in Illinois to make our dollars go farther. These are all awesome projects happening right here in Chicago. And while you're at it, let's try and get them as much money as they can. So
Talk to your philanthropy friends. Sam?
I'm excited about Danielle. And the reason why I say that, and you'll hear in a second, you saw right before this, is I got a chance to chat with someone who knew Danielle way back when. Dude named Scott. Scott, if you don't mind standing up for a second. Scott's like, hey, I'm a nobody, which you're somebody now, right? I'm kidding. You've always been a somebody. But Scott said, I said, man, he's like, how'd you get connected with Danielle? I was like, dude, I need to find out how to get more connected with her. He's like, I said, tell me about her. You can sit down, Scott. You don't have to, I don't want your legs to get tired. He said, she's been doing this her entire life. It's like, I've known her, I don't think it was since college, maybe it was before, after, I don't know, but he's like, this is who she is. And so like this event has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and like senators are showing up because of her. And so what I get excited about is like, who can be the next Danielle for their community? Whose dreams are like right there, like on the precipice of giving like birth, coming to fruition, that it just takes like one person to make it happen. So you asked me what I get most excited about, it's the fact that like I was here last year and look how much it's grown. Who knows what it's gonna be next year? And then even better, who knows what's gonna happen when someone in this room takes that dream that's been put in their heart and actually like takes a step of faith. Because then when that happens, people start showing up, and people who felt like they were nobodies become somebody. So that's what I get super, super excited about.
All right, my bosses at Axios said that end every presentation with, if you took one thing from this presentation, it should be. So in the next 30 seconds, everybody, if you take one thing from this presentation, what do you want them to take from it?
For me, I always have this saying, you know, if I can't do great things, I can do small things in great ways. And continue to believe that what you're doing, even on a small community level, it is making a difference.
Great.
At the Alliance, we use our voices and our choices, so buy local, sustainable, healthy as much as you can, whenever you can, but also you've got to use your voice, so get connected to an organization that is organizing to change policy like Illinois Stewardship Alliance, ilstewards.org.
All right, nice.
For me, it's that the community is doing this work, and they've been doing this work for a very long time. Go learn about them, go fund them.
And for me, it would be the fact that, and I'm going to steal this from you, Haven. I don't want to like go into detail, but we are one. Period. So you see someone struggling on the street or lack of food access, we are one. It could be your sister, your brother, we're one. So that would be my note.
Thank you so much, Sam, Haven, Liz, David. Give it up.
Thank you. I can't get through any food tank summit without crying, so here it is. Thank you to that panel. Thank you to Monica. Acho is an extraordinary human being, but he's a little bit wrong because I stand on the shoulders of giants. There are so many, especially women in this movement, who have come before me, who have taught me so much. So I stand on the shoulders of giants, and I hope that anyone who comes after us realizes that those people came before. So I'm just here standing in for all of the heroines and heroes that I have been able to know and meet throughout my life.